Oh, look at me having a camera and a mic all together. So professional. I've been like thinking of getting a setup for a while, and now I finally have a good reason to. So these are like the big news. I'm going to Japan. Very exciting. I'm gonna be doing my first artist residency. And I'm gonna be going to Japan from end of August till the beginning of October. So the initiative for this residency is from European Pavilion in the Expo Osaka 2025. So it is a huge deal. It's crazy, and I fully understand the weight of it. They were looking for, I think it's 6 artists altogether that we are doing this program, and the program is called Artisanal Intelligence. So obviously, because of the topic of artificial intelligence, so keeping the craft alive and all that, very relevant. So we are going to Japan, all 6 of us, and each of us is going to be staying in a different place in Japan and doing a different craft residency, essentially. So what did I propose? I am an embroidery artist and I stitch mikrorayons. So mikrorayons are Soviet-built districts post-war to house a lot of people. So they were cheaply made, fastly made. All in all, contested heritage, at least in Latvia, because the Soviet occupation is a hard history to deal with. But I was born after the Soviet period, and I've lived in a mikrorayon all my life. When I was living in London for 3 years while I was studying, that didn't change, that the idea of home to me looked and seemed like mikrorayon. So ever since that, I came back home and I've been working with the idea of mikrorayons and stitching mikrorayons ever since. So I proposed for this residency that I want to explore their version of a mikrorayon, which isn't direct, but the idea of it. So in Japan, they have these districts called danchi, which are essentially also post-war socialist housing, built fast, and I also think cheaply, but might not even be that, but they also are small spaces, essentially kind of modernist in nature. Recently I did some research that essentially they liked the Soviet idea of a mikrorayon, and they took the concept and did it their own way. So exciting already. So I'm going to be researching that, and also I'm doing like a craft residency where I'm going to be working side by side or learning from an artist who does ikebana. So this artist is called Toru Waterai. I found him on Homo Faber guide, which was the first time I used that guide because I'm included on it as well. And it's a guide that houses a lot of exceptional artisans, craftspeople, etc., who are making sure that a certain craft is alive. So the curators got in contact with him and he was up for it. And it's very exciting because when I had to pick the craft, what I want to kind of combine, the mikrorayons are essentially like the theoretical concept, and then the practical part is the craft. And at first I was thinking about doing kintsugi because also on Homo Faber I found these like an artist duo, and they were describing why they do kintsugi is because not about the action, the act of repair, but it was about the relationship from like the person with the object that needs to be repaired, and essentially with repairing you're kind of prolonging that relationship. And on like the conceptual basis, this was like a great thing because to apply to mikrorayons, because at least currently and in Latvia where I live, essentially those block buildings that were built in the Soviet era, they are kind of outgrown themselves. So they were built to last like 30, 40 years, but they're now for like 50 years. So they are in really bad condition and they need to be fully renovated to kind of make sure they can last maybe like extra 20 years. You can't give like a whole new life to them, but you can kind of prolong it. And it's really hard to get to do so because it's like a huge building. For example, where I live, we have 2 stairwells and it's like 72 apartments. So you need to make sure, you need to take all 72 owners on board that they also want to participate in this renovation, then you can actually go with it. So it's really, really hard process to deal with, and it's very bureaucratic. It doesn't involve any emotion. Also, microrayons and living in them is very still stigmatized and stereotyped in it's not Latvian, and it's not our heritage. It's something that was imposed on us when we were occupied by Soviet Union. So it's definitely a very tricky thing to work with. So to me, kintsugi was very like an obvious choice, but why I didn't go with it in the end is because it's very commercial. In the last few years, kintsugi has been used we've all seen so many like numerous videos of DIY kintsugi and Pinterest and YouTube and TikTok, Instagram, everywhere. And somehow it was a little bit off-putting to me. I was scared that it would look like I don't have any depth with it. So I went to the other end and I chose ikebana. And why did I choose ikebana? I chose ikebana because as much as I hate the notion in traditional embroidery, that it has to be feminine and it has to be flora and fauna and it has to be pretty and feminine and everything, as much as I hate that, I am a woman that likes occasionally cut flowers. And I like that a lot because it's a form of creative act, but that's very short, and the flowers die and then you have another choice to be. It's not permanent. So I was kind of liking the idea, and I read more on ikebana, and there's such a philosophy behind it, and multiple philosophies, and how you have the vase or the object where the arrangement is in, and then how you arrange those flowers and the space between branches and how it takes up space within architectural space. So I was thinking that might be very interesting to combine that with the idea of microrayons. And where I see how it connects to microrayons is I've been reading a lot on how to make microrayons more livable for today. It's been 30 years after Soviet occupation, been like 30, 40 years ever since those buildings were built. So the lifestyle, the regime, the country, everything is the landscape is different. And how do we make them livable for now, for our needs and to feel better? And in a lot of sources, it's being said that landscaping helps, just nature helps. It makes it less hostile, less sterile, especially if those modernist/brutalist buildings are unkept. They look sometimes very scary. Like sometimes in the winter the view is not the best. So I was thinking if gardening can make it less hostile, then it definitely has a good connection with ikebana in some way. Because in some stairwells you can see that there's some plants there right by the windows and all that. So I think it has like a good basis for research. This whole residency project is curated by Annalene and Waldo. They are from the organization Noto, and they were the ones kind of making sure each artist gets like the best alignment to their artisanal practice, which, I mean, this is my first time like doing art residency, so I'm kind of blown away. I'm not sure if this is regular practice or no, but it's definitely very exciting and I'm very looking forward to it. So the ikebana artist that I'm going to be working with is Toro Watarai. I think I mentioned that before. I was just recently looking at his work, and he did like a collaboration with Loewe in Japan, which I think is quite badass. Very interested to hear about what does it mean making a living with craft. I only know how I do it or barely do it, so that's different. It's gonna be very interesting. So I'm spending a week in Tokyo. So the residency is 4 weeks. So the first week I'm gonna be spending in Tokyo. I'm gonna be visiting the danchis, and I think I'm meeting up with a researcher who specifically has researched danchis. And I think that's gonna be an interesting conversation and kind of outlook on on that. And then I'm spending 3 weeks in Kamakura, which is like just underneath Tokyo. And I'm going to be spending that time with Toru. And I think that's going to be also very interesting to see how he works. And just, I feel like anyone who is some sort of creative or has like a very dedicated hobby, you would like to see how other people do their craft and somehow like take away what's there. Essentially, like the whole initiative why the European Pavilion is making this residency program is because in Japan, craft is dying. The specific crafts are dying because there's been multiple generations doing the same craft. So they're very like focused and they do their one thing and they do it extremely well through generations. And they're blown away how in Europe, craftspeople are like one person orchestra essentially. So like we're doing everything, our own branding, marketing, websites, photographing, the craft itself, applying for funding and like doing so many things where like, at least in my practice, actual time for doing my craft, the embroidery, is so minute that sometimes it feels like I can't call myself a craftsperson because I don't get to practice it to feel like I am one, which is sad. But I'm very looking forward just going to Japan, and I feel like it's gonna be like a masterclass in minimalism, or this idea of just being able to focus and narrow your focus and kind of let room for new things to come in and just refocus and kind of revisit why I'm doing embroidery and what it means to me. And you know, I'm applying for funding here and there, and I always write, yeah, it's like a form of storytelling and I love it and it's like how I live. But being able to spend time with the idea of craft, which seems like an insane privilege to me. So I'm very looking forward to it. I'm running a campaign where you can support me in my time in Japan. I have the residency for 4 weeks and it's going to be full with the danchi and ikebana. And I'm scared I'm not going to have enough time to indulge in other parts of their culture. So I'm looking at spending extra 10 days in Japan to get more of their culture, hopefully get some classes on any of other crafts, hoping to get something embroidery related, just to visit more sites, see more things, see museums, like all the temples, everything. I'm trying to like get more of this opportunity. So if you would like to support me, I'd be very happy. You can head to my site, elizamara.com, and then on the header you can see there's going to be a section called Japan, and have a look there. I'd be extremely grateful. I know I have a lot of followers. I have people that follow me right even from the time when I just started embroidery, like 10 years ago, more, I think. I appreciate your support. This is my next big thing. I know it's going to be a huge, huge step up in my career in doing what I do and what I love. And I'd be just very happy to take you with me. So have a read on my site. Other than that, this is my first YouTube video. Hopefully I'll keep posting. I have ideas for more stuff coming. So if you have any suggestions for Japan, if you've been there, if you have anything you can suggest me, I'd be very happy about that. If you have any questions, leave them in comments, message me, email me, whatever works for you. I'm everywhere, as we all are now. I'm gonna try to keep this going. So yeah, thank you for making it to the end of the video, and stay tuned. See you later. I don't know what you're supposed to say at the end. So thank you. See ya. Bye.